Hey guys, welcome into another reaction here. Day 2 of Australia vs India in the World Test Championship final. And there was 12 wickets and 300 runs in this day, which just showed great test cricket. And, at one stage you thought India were going to be sort of leading the charge and a great win on this day, really. And then the Aussies really fought back in their bowling innings, which was great. So Australians there, a lot of people would have thought, they should be able to get well into the 500s to that 600 mark. And a few people, speaking to me, 600 plus, kind of where they were looking at. But obviously things changed really, really quickly. And you know what Travis Head's going to come out and bat like, and we saw that exactly. Smithy, a little bit of an unlucky one, just a little bit of a loss of concentration. But we'll get into all of the wickets and how the game played out. So, yeah, that was the big thing with Travi, was just to come out and be very aggressive. What I spoke about in yesterday's video was that we thought that they probably didn't bowl short enough to Travis and bowl a bunch of those, and that's solely what they did to try and get him out on this day 2. And he got a bunch of fours away, but then he happened to obviously lose his wicket eventually with a short one and just tickling it down leg to the keeper. So that was Travi there. Obviously, yeah, we'll go through all of those Indian wickets as well. But 163 for Trav, so an amazing innings for him. Yeah, love watching him bat. Absolutely amazing. 25 fours and a 6 at his 93.6 strike rate. Was incredible. Steve Smith got his ton very, very quickly, and what I saw early on this day was that India just didn't get it right straight away. Smithy was able to get a few off his legs, get to his 100 very easily, and that kind of set the tone, I thought, for the first session. It did change fairly quickly when Travi got out, and then not too long after that, Smithy did get out with Smithy's one, just a little bit of a lack of concentration, I think. Just kind of dabbed at it a little bit outside off it, having faced 268 balls, batting for a long time. You kind of just sit there and go, it's an easy one. I'll just tap it on the head and get a single there, and it obviously just sat a little bit low, came back in a tad, and he chopped back on. So Smithy, another amazing innings from him, another terrific 100, 7th at the Oval, I believe. So amazing work. So 7th in England, I should say. Amazing work there. 3 at the Oval. But yeah, so once we lost those two, that kind of stifled things a little bit. So you had that 4th wicket at 361, and then the 5th one, 5th and 6th, I should say, Cam Green and Smithy, not too far after that, sort of 15 runs and then another 11 after that, which kind of cooked things. That left us 6 down pretty quickly and in a little bit of a tough spot. So let's talk about Cameron Green now. Biggest thing that we saw from him in this one, coming out to bat straight away, was the aggression. So first ball, he played a drive, played it fairly late, kind of skewed a little bit off the outside edge, but I'd say it was a pretty solid shot. First ball on a bit of a length, so a much different approach to what he's been doing back in Australia and in India as well. And he said that he was going to come out with a slightly different mindset, and he did look like he came out with almost an IPL mindset. He then had one off his hip, which was a nice positive shot, which he ended up getting 2 off, so he was 6 off 3, I believe, very, very quickly. And then the wicket ball. This is the issue with having that type of mindset, is sometimes you can get a bit lackadaisical with your footwork, with your technique, and that's exactly what happened here. Unfortunately with Greeny, back foot moving, him playing the ball right out in front, away from his body, just didn't work out. It was on a length, so if he got it all right, he would have been able to hit it well. He's a big body, so he can get right out there and get on top of the ball, given he's a big man, but just wasn't to be. He played right out in front, and back foot was moving, which means his shoulders and his hips move as well. So gets him in a pretty vulnerable position to be able to get out and nick one, which he did in this one. And I feel, having faced 6 balls, playing that type of shot, I really enjoyed the aggression, obviously. And in this type of situation, just losing a wicket, I just feel like coming out and just spending 5, 10, 15 balls, getting yourself in, hitting the bad ball, that wasn't a bad ball. What we've seen in the past with Cam is that he would get some pretty comfortable, easier balls to have a swing at or have a play at, and he would try and defend them. So I feel like now he just went, in this innings, it was only 7 balls, but he just went a little bit too far to the other side with the aggression, given that one was not the ball to hit. I still think if he kept everything in line, he still would have been able to hit it and do well with it, but just this time just wasn't great. So got caught 2nd or 3rd slip there for Cammy Green. So that one was over, and that left 2 quick wickets. Alex Carey comes to the wicket, and this could have been a great partnership given how Alex has been playing, but that's when Steve Smith went down. So once those 3 went down early. It just left the tail to wag with Starkey coming in with Alex there as well. So got through 20 balls and then ran himself out. So he actually looked pretty solid with his couple of shots there, with his 4 and his 1, and then ran himself out. Axar Patel came in with a terrific run out there. So I think I'd say for the most part, guys, the bowling was okay. Yeah, the game plan to head worked out, knowing that he was going to be fairly aggressive. Just put a couple of guys back. Ended up nicking it to the keeper down that side, but they had a little bit more of a strategy in that one. Cam Green, they decided to bowl sort of just outside the off stump to try and get him driving and nicking, which worked out well. Smithy, they got that wicket like I was talking about yesterday, of bowling outside off and making him try and do something with it, make a mistake, which he did. Didn't expect him to chop on, but he has done it before, that's for sure. So Alex Carey comes out and plays that anchor role really, really well. So he's a very aggressive player, and he had some great shots. And you see here that his style of batting is very unique. He's very much a T20 style of batsman. He plays all around the park. He had one there where he backed away and cover drove it through sort of forward point there. Thick edge, but that's the type of shots he played. He had a bunch over leg side, so he was really good. But on the other end, he had Stark getting run out. Pat came in and played a really pivotal role in a partnership there with Alex, because the Australians really just needed to slow things down, get a little bit of a partnership together, because if India rolled through them and got Aussies out for close to that 400 mark, 410, something like that, it really gives them a sniff. The 469 is still a great score overall. You see obviously where India have ended up. They're 318 behind. It does make it very tough. It doesn't make it very tough for them to come back. If it was 410, they're only 250, 260 behind. You're like, okay, we're not too bad. Even if we can sneak to sort of closer to 300, being 5 down, then we're not too far behind. So that extra partnership there was great from Pat. So something to note as well is that he actually pushed Stark up ahead of him for the first time in a long time, even though Stark has been batting much better, has a greater average than Pat. So the 34 balls he faced, they ended up having a close to, I believe, a 50 partnership there between Alex and Paddy there. A great anchor he was, and letting Alex do his thing. So Paddy, obviously, he got out there. It was a bit of a slower ball one, trying to play some shots, which is completely fair. Alex's one there was the reverse sweep, so live and die by the sword, old Al. He got out a bunch of times like that in India, so they know how to bowl to him there, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. So that one, I understand where he's coming from, but he's got out to it a few times now, whereas his traditional stroke play, especially in England, I think is going to be better. I could understand it in India, given it was tougher conditions, but I don't think he needs to play it. He was batting so well without it. I understand here and there, but when it's right on middle stump, it's not the right time, I think, to play it. He's obviously very good at it, but he's been getting out to it, so there is enough evidence to say that he needs to put it away on certain balls, and that's one of them. That's the exact one he was missing in India as well. So a little bit better selection will be good. And then Lyon just got bowled to Siraj. Bowled a couple of short ones, and then that nice full, almost Yorker style was perfect for him. So that rounded out the innings at 469 there. Great bowling from Shami, and also Muhammad Siraj there. Both really toiled away, 28 and 29 overs between them for 6 wickets, and okay economy, considering how things went during the middle part of that game, and Jadeja getting his 1 wicket there. Let's turn our eyes to the Indians, which was a very, very good start. They started with a lot of poise, a lot of aggression there. Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma. When they did lose that first wicket, it was 5.5 overs, and they were already over 30. So really, really aggressive, really solid start. The Aussies had decided to really begin with a bouncer short ball style of attack, which I found interesting, given that both of these players are very good players of the short ball. It didn't work out exactly, but what you got to look at is the reasons why they're using the short ball as well. So sometimes they'll use the short ball to be able to get them sitting on the back foot, thinking about it a bit more, because if you know that someone's just going to be on the spot every ball, you can play accordingly. If Paddy's bowling that short ball, if Starkey's got a good one in him, which we saw obviously with the first ball, then you are in two minds as to where it's going to be. The shot that Rohit played to get out to Pat Cummins, it was a mistake. He went across his pads. Obviously, the aggression had been there in all of the other the balls that he'd faced, and that one he just got it wrong. Played right across his stumps. Needed to play a lot straighter. and Paddy got him. So that started things, obviously not in a good way. For him to lose his wicket early, especially when we're talking about in the preview that he is a guy that's averaging in the 40s and he's a super important batsman for this side. And you see here at 5 for 151, they lost a bunch of wickets for that sort of 15, 13, 14. So he's super important for this squad. Shubman Gill, wow, this was my face when Scott bowled him. I was like, what is going on here? As soon as he started to leave it, I was like, oh no, what are you doing? It was a really, really cracking ball. And Scott, let's sing his praises again. Came in here, the economy rate was super low again. He had a couple in sort of his 10th over that got hit for 4. They got driven for 4. But for the most part, he builds so much pressure. And yeah, of course, his first wicket in England comes when he's had no runs hit off him. So that was a terrific ball, but it was a really terrible leave. There was actually one just after with Pujara where he left it off Cam Green and got bowled. So two players in this Indian lineup left it and got bowled. Shubman's was really bad. So it's a ball angling in. It was only just outside off stump and it seemed back a little bit, but it did crash into middle and off. It was right in between those two stumps. So I think it was a really terrible leave. If it did not move off the seam, it probably just misses off or nicks it. So I just think it's a very, very terrible shot. And that started the rut with the Indians there. They lost 2 wickets on the same score at 30 there, at 30 for 2. And that kind of kicked things off for Australia in a good way. So you bring Pujara and Kohli to the crease, both not facing a ball together. So basically fresh openers, which is exactly what you want as an Aussie side, is for them to lose wickets in clumps. The next one was Pujara, and that was an incredible delivery. So well bowled, Cam Green. This one here, I think, is a great leave. Obviously not. Yeah, there's only 2 types of leaves, a good one and a bad one. If you get bowled or it misses the stumps. But I think every day of the week, if Marnus would be leaving that. I think majority of players would be leaving that. And if you aren't as good, you probably are fishing at that one because that's just the exact one that people want you play at and try and nick. And in this case, it did move back a long way, and only just got the off stump there. Hit it hard enough, but you know what I mean. Would have been missing by a good sort of 10 centimeters or so, pretty comfortably, if it wasn't seaming in. But they have to think that they are in England, and at least playing your line or at least covering the stumps is going to be the best way to go. Yes, it's going to be great to leave in some parts, but you've seen here 2 balls now that our type of bowlers are on that angle, the right-handers anyway, and pushing towards that off stump and trying to get one to seam back or seam away. So either way, obviously, depending on what's happening with the wicket, that's their goal. And in this case, it was the mistake just in the context as well. You see Shubman Gill come out and leave one and get bowled from one seaming back in. You would then come out going, okay, if it's getting closer to that off stump, I've likely got to play it. And that's what that first one does to someone's mindset as well. Gill gets out like that, then Pujara's got to be in 2 minds as to those type of balls, what can I do with them? Do I have to do I just try to leave them because it's seaming around a little bit? Do I have to play it? And he ended up getting bowled from that. So his low average continues in England. Crazy because he does score a fair few runs in county cricket, but it hasn't transitioned to the test arena yet. So until that does, I'm going to continue to say that he's not someone we're super worried about in England at the moment. Virat Kohli's wicket. Wow. That was incredible by Mitchell Starc. And this is why he is in the side. He does have his odd ones where he sprays it for a nice half volley outside off. He bowls a pretty average short one. He'll pop one on the legs. He does have the wayward deliveries, but when he can bowl a delivery like that, make sure you go and watch that one back, guys. That was it was short enough, probably just short of a good length, and that's kicked up beautifully, going across him, across his body, and got right up high on the bat, and a terrific take by Steve Smith. And that wicket there was immense. To have them 4 down early for 71 there, absolutely incredible, and just put the Aussies in a cracking position there. For sure. So yeah, go back and watch that one, guys. That was amazing, and that was a big turning point. Obviously, the Cameron Green bowled was incredible, and then Mitchell Starc's delivery there was absolutely amazing as well. So go back and watch those 2. And then we go to the partnership here between Ajinkya Rahane and also Jadeja, and Rahane actually got a terrific LBW. It was from Pat Cummins that actually, unfortunately, was a no ball. So again, what a lot of people are noticing is that a lot of the fast bowlers around the world are causing themselves issues by just overstepping it. And this time was just over that line, but again, it's enough for it to be a no ball. And it would have been, yeah, an absolute peach, coming in and then seaming away that little bit to hit the top of off. Yeah, amazing delivery. But Rahane actually, he did a really good job. In a position there where they were in a lot of trouble, he managed to stick it out and do really well. He looked very solid in his cover drives and his back foot punches. Yeah, and apart from that terrific delivery from Pat, was able to withstand the Australian bowlers here. And he is so important in, given his experience here, he needs to go on and get 100 in this one. So that's going to be the big one tomorrow. Can he dig in and can he do a great job? And how is Bharat going to do, considering he's only played a few tests and he's not averaging very high at all? So well done to him to get through that 14 balls. And Jadeja looked absolutely incredible, playing a mixture between his one-day style of batting and T20 style as well, with a bunch of shots over the top on the leg side, some terrific stroke play on the offside as well. Very simple, a few of them, a few back cuts there, just to get his job done. But really, how I want to finish this video is just to talk about that Nathan Lyon delivery to get him out. Obviously, near the back end of the day, it was a very important wicket, and you could see, they turned to Rohit Sharma there after Jadeja got out, and he was pretty dejected. And it was such an important wicket in the context of this match. Just those type of partnerships, these ones will happen. Kohli's, Pujaras, when they're not completely set, you bowl a good ball and it can happen. But this one here from Nathan Lyon, he hadn't bowled, obviously in the 30, I think he bowled 2 overs, and he ended up bowling 2 overs. He hadn't bowled until the 35th over. To come out in this one, you look at that wicket there in fast motion, really tells the picture. Slow motion, it makes it look like it's a worse shot for Jadeja than what it actually was. But the big win here, in the pace that Lyon bowled that delivery at 92 kilometers an hour was perfect. That's where he's at his best. Anything higher than that, and it's a little bit too quick, it's a little bit too flat through the air. So what you see is obviously him around the wicket. Bowling to lefties is obviously the best that you can have as a right arm off spinner. I'm a left arm off spinner myself, and bowling to the right handers is great because he bowls straight. You can have one that can go straight on, and then you only need 1 or 2 to turn, and that's where you can get the nick, or they start playing for turn and go from there. But this one here wasn't even anything to do with that. It was to do with the angle. So him coming in, you can see it drifting in beautifully into the left-hander. And all that did in Jadeja's mind for that split second was go, oh, this is coming onto the stumps, and I'm going to have to play this. And just the angle, and also that the drift was really big and the drop was delightful. That it did end up pitching outside, a little bit outside off, probably 10 or so centimeters outside off, and then spun away beautifully. But all that did there was just bring Jadeja out and away from his pads, outside where he was obviously standing on middle stump, and get him to chase that ball a little bit, which, yeah, he'll look back at it and go, oh, I didn't have to do that. But the way that the ball was coming down, it looked like it was going to rip right into those stumps, and then potentially, obviously, it has the chance to skid onto the stumps, and he'd obviously get bowled if he left it. And then it was obviously beautiful and turn and bounce away for a great catch for Steve Smith. So amazing work from Lyon, and why he is Gary the GOAT. We love him. So if he can bowl like that, he absolutely ripped it. Great drift, great drop, great turn and bounce. If he can do that in England, I think he's going to have a cracking summer. And that's really how I wanted to finish this, guys. The game was in the balance a little bit, giving the Indians a little bit of a sniff. How tomorrow plays out at the start is going to go a long way into how this test match goes, and how, if the Australians can win it, or the Indians can turn this into a tougher matchup. Ajinkya Rahane, this is a turning point in his career. A lot of people are talking, especially in India, around him, and is he going to be able to keep his spot? There's a lot of conjecture around that, similar to that of Davey Warner, and how he hasn't been playing that well with Rahane. Middle order guy, obviously a number 5 in this team. You do need to be hitting sort of close to that 40 plus average, and he hasn't been doing that. So Rahane, this is a massive innings for him. And then Bharat, if he can play well, also he goes a long way to keeping his spot in this team and being a really important player, given he has Jadeja batting ahead of him, and he's the keeper. So shows how good the last couple of years have been for Jadeja, and he's playing incredible. But this is a big one for Bharat. So very interested to see how those couple of guys go there. And just turn to the bowling there. Stark went for a lot, and that's what you speak about there. But he can get that wicket that's so important, and it was in this one. Pat Cummins bowled well. He had obviously the no ball that stopped him from getting 2 wickets. Scotty was amazing. Kept his economy low. Cameron Green did a good job as well, just over 3 and over there. But Stark and Cummins obviously got hit around a little bit early, and then their economy rate kind of stuck pretty similar. Paddy dropped his down a little bit, but very happy with our bowling lineup, and that's what we've been speaking about all preseason here. Is that we're not worried at all about the bowlers here. We know that Boland can come in and do a good job. We've got Hazelwood when he's back as well, who's going to be amazing also. Cameron Green getting better and better as a fast bowler as well, and then Lyon is Lyon. So terrific bowling from the Aussies, and I hope they can continue it. But hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope you enjoy day 3 tomorrow.